Keyonte George returns from injury and leads the Jazz in minutes played, field goal attempts, and points. But the Jazz lose, and that's a good thing.
Jazz Smack, your source for information and analysis about the Utah Jazz and NBA basketball. Jazz Smack is a community for passionate Utah Jazz NBA fans.
So it was really important for the Jazz to lose this game tonight. The Hornets are also one of the 5 worst teams in the NBA to this point in the season in terms of record. And the Jazz have one more win after tonight's game than the Hornets. So the Jazz still have a better record than the Hornets. The Hornets are still below the Jazz in the standings for one of those coveted worst positions so that they maximize their odds in the lottery. So the Jazz really need to lose this game tonight because it both gives the Hornets another win, which helps the Jazz, and obviously the Jazz get another loss and avoid another win. But those five worst records are obviously there's a number of teams shooting for those five worst records at this point, and it's going to be a race to the bottom all season. And I don't know. I mean, the Hornets have just been brutally bad to this point, and who knows if the Jazz can, and who knows if Hardy is willing to just throw in the towel and take on the losses. He seems skeptical at this point, so it's yet to be seen if that's the route the Jazz are going to go, or if they end up with like the 7th or 8th worst record again, which seems to be the trend that we're headed towards. But anyway, so the loss tonight helped the Jazz, and the win by the Hornets really helped the Jazz. And on top of that, the Raptors also got a win tonight. So, it's amazingly good night. And then, even better than that, again, Minnesota lost again. Golden State got them by 1 point. So those are all good results for the Jazz in terms of what we want for the first round of the draft next year, because the Jazz obviously do get Minnesota's first round pick this year. So Minnesota is barely better than a 500 team at this point, and it's conceivable if they had some bad luck that they could actually miss the playoffs, and that would be a great thing for the Jazz franchise, an absolutely great thing. It's certainly bad for Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert, 2 guys that I think that most people in Utah and most people who follow the Jazz really like, but it's really a good thing for the Jazz because that could end up being another quality first-round pick if all goes well. And right now, we're trending in the right directions. I mean, right now, it'd be a pick in the middle of the first round, which isn't a bad pick. And with some luck, it's even higher than that. So we'll see. But so the Jazz get a loss tonight, and that's great. It's nice to see Keyonte back. Even though I'm not a big fan of Keyonte, I think the Jazz need to evaluate him, and he needs to get experience and see if he can improve enough to where the Jazz want to extend him on a deal that I think is going to be, I think it's going to be more than what I would certainly like to pay him, and I think it's going to be a big enough contract that it would hurt the team's cap space. So I think they need as much evaluation time as possible, and he's missed a number of games both last year and this year. And the more games he plays from here forward, the better for the Jazz, in all honesty, even though I think it's worse for the development of the other players. But the Jazz need to evaluate that guy desperately. So from that standpoint, I think it was a good game for the Jazz all the way around. I think it's a good result. So let's take a look at the box score and see where exactly things stand with the minutes distribution of the points and all that. Again, let's start with Cody. He's the top of the box score. I'm really happy that he got another 30 minutes. I think it's really important. I suspect that he's going to be sent back to the G League again and play more games there because he's still really struggling to shoot the ball. And I don't think that they're going to continue to play him with the Jazz full time if he continues to shoot so poorly. I think they'll send him back to the G League. And I think that a transition between the Jazz and the G League for him throughout the rest of this year, I think that's probably a positive considering some of the struggles he's had so far. So I think it's good that he can go back to the G League and be a big minute guy there every single game, regardless of who plays for the Jazz. And obviously the Jazz are still missing guys. I mean, Lowry is and the primary guy there is obviously Lowry, and Lowry's not playing. So, and Clarkson's not playing still. So, and John Collins still isn't playing. So the Jazz are having a lot of guys sit, which is good. I would rather have the young guys play. I think the young guys need development time, and I think it's a positive for the franchise. The more development time the young guys get right now, I think that's a positive. So Cody continues to struggle. You know, he scores 5 points, 2 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, only 2 rebounds, 1 assist. So still, he plays 30 minutes and he's struggling from the field. But those other numbers, the rebounds and assists and steals, he did get 1 block, but it's his stat line is reasonably sparse. It's just not a lot there. And Micah got some more time again. I'm not going to really talk a lot about him. I mean, there's nothing really to say there. And Walker, I would like to see Walker get a few more minutes. Again, he got 27. I'd still like it to see it 30 or more. But he goes 5 for 7 from the field, 1 for 4 on free throws again. 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, so 11 points and 8 rebounds. The thing that the guy that he was matched up against, though, had like a career night for the Hornets, and I don't even know this Mark Williams guy. I have no idea who that is, but he goes 12 for 14 from the field, 7 for 10 on free throws, 13 rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds. So he scores 31 points with 13 rebounds. I mean, obviously that's not all Walker's fault because Walker only played 27 minutes. And, I mean, the Jazz defense is such a sieve that Walker's constantly trying to defend guys at the rim. I mean, he's just in help defense all the time, which he should be. I mean, that's what makes Walker so valuable. He's always in help defense, but that obviously opens his man up to getting offensive boards if one of his teammates doesn't help him out when he's helping on weak side defense. So it's not all entirely his fault that his guy had a career night, but it's still interesting to see. But getting back to the Jazz box score. So Walker had a decent night from a box score standpoint, but you know, not exactly stellar numbers. Walker's had a lot better games recently than this one. And then we get on to Keyonte with his 22 field goal attempts, 31 minutes played, 13 threes, 3 for 5 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. So he put up numbers in other areas besides just the field goal attempts, but still, he comes back and plays 31 minutes and he hoists up by far the most shots on the team. That's a lot of shots, and he, well, I mean, he missed the last 5 games, so you kind of expect if he's going to get 31 minutes, he's going to jack up shots because that's kind of what Keyonte does. So he scores 26 points with the 6 assists and only 1 turnover. The 1 turnover is really good. He had a couple of really nice passes tonight. One of those that he hit Walker on was a terrific pass, and where Walker was moving through the lane after setting a pick, and then he went and moved through the lane, and Keyonte got the ball to him in perfect position, right in stride, where he could do something with it. So those are the type of plays that I'd like to see Keyonte make more of, rather than just the hoisting of the 13 3-point attempts. But Isaiah, the problem with Keyonte getting so many minutes and so many minutes playing the point is obviously that takes minutes from Collier, and Collier's been playing great. And he's been playing the point guard position much better than anybody else on the team. And so when Keyonte's minutes go up at the point guard position, Isaiah Collier's minutes decline at the point guard position. And he only played 26 and a half minutes tonight, where he was playing 30 plus, and he got 8 field goal attempts. But he did have the 10 assists. He had a high turnover game with 5 turnovers, but the 10 assists still outstanding. I mean, that's awesome for a point guard with very little time to this point in the season. I mean, his total minutes played to this point in the season are minimal, and for him to be having this type of impact passing the ball so far is really impressive. And hopefully, with some luck, he continues to get the minutes, and he continues to rack up those assist numbers. But it's also nice to see him make shots too. I mean, yeah, he went 1 for 4 on 3 tonight, and he's not going to shoot a big percentage from 3. I mean, the guy's shooting such a low percentage from 3. 1 for 4 actually is better than his season shooting percentage from 3. And he's not going to shoot a great percentage this year from 3. But if he can get some of those other baskets, some of the easier baskets, stuff in the paint, where he can increase his field goal percentage overall, as he did tonight with shooting 3 for 4 on 2s, I mean, that's where I think he needs to improve where he can improve his numbers, and hopefully he continues to take more 2-pointers than he takes 3-pointers. Rather than looking at Keyonte's box score, and he took 22 total shots, and 13 of those were 3s. So I would like Collier to be different from that. Hopefully Collier continues to shoot 2s at least twice the rate that he shoots the 3s, until he can improve in the off season as a shooter. Kyle got another 22 minutes. I think that's nice. It's good for him. He didn't have a good rebounding night, though. He did have 2 assists, and he didn't commit any turnovers, but no steals, no blocks. But he did shoot 3 for 5 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. So 8 total points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Not a great night, but he shot well enough that it's a decent night. For 22 minutes, if it would have been nice if he'd have had another couple rebounds and a block or a steal. But overall, another good night from Kyle. He didn't commit any turnovers, and so I think it's all a positive with him. Still, I think he's one of the best passers on the team, and I think he's playing really well. Bryce again, he was able to get 27 minutes, and he took 16 shots, making 7 of them. He went 2 for 6 from 3, 3 for 3 from free throw line, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So this is, again, Bryce, he's putting in numbers in other areas of the box score aside from just his field goal attempts. And I've always said, and I'll continue to say this, I think the key for Bryce is being able to stay on the court on the defensive end of the court. That, if he can play good enough defense, that can keep him on the court, because we all know how well he shoots the ball. And not only shoots the ball from 3, but Bryce can really shoot it from the mid-range as well. He has a full repertoire of shots, and it's nice to see him not just jack 3s. So only 6 of his 16 field goal attempts tonight were threes, so he took 10 twos. And I think that's a decent ratio. I would like to see that ratio continue rather than just early last year and earlier this year, it was just threes. And I would like to see him continue to diversify his shot attempts rather than just shooting threes. So it's all good. And the rest of the people, I still don't know much about Elijah Harkless. I just don't even have any comments on. I think in terms of a perimeter defender, I think he's our most aggressive perimeter front defender. And maybe he's just doing that because he wants to stay with the Jazz rather than going back to the G League. But I think that guy is actually, of all the people on the roster right now, he's the most aggressive perimeter defender, and that's always helpful because, in all honesty, the Jazz do need that because they have a bunch of guys who really are not. The rest of the roster is replete with guys who just don't really get after it, and at least one guy does. I don't think this guy's going to stick with the. I mean, the only reason he's here is because of injuries. When people return from injury, I mean, he's not going to be with the Jazz anymore. He'll be elsewhere. But for right now, I think that guy is an aggressive perimeter defender, and I think the Jazz that's always welcomed on this particular Jazz roster because the Jazz are sorely needing that. So that pretty much covers it for the box score. And if we just go up and take a look at the Hornets box score, really, I mean, they were killed by 3 guys. Well, 4 guys. I mean, they had 4 guys with 20 or more points, and like I said, Walker's guy, the center, Mark Williams, scores 31 to 13 rebounds, but also Miles Bridges has 25 on 9 for 16 shooting. Brandon Miller has 20 on 8 for 18 shooting, and LaMelo has 27 on 11 for 21 shooting. So those are considerable numbers, and they also had 27 assists and 18 turnovers, and this is one of the reasons why Charlotte struggles so much is they have a roster full of guys who are pretty loose with the ball, and LaMelo is certainly that guy. He just does not really value possessions a whole lot. He's very loosey-goosey with the ball, and those other young guys are as well. I mean, Brandon Miller. So these guys turn over the ball a lot, and this is one of the reasons why the Hornets are so bad is they just commit a lot of turnovers, and it's just the way it is. And I don't think that's going to change as long as LaMelo is your point guard. I don't foresee that changing, at least not anytime soon. I mean, he's just out there just playing like a game, like it's a game in the park. It's very, very. And it really hasn't changed a whole lot since he got into the league and started playing with the Hornets. So I don't foresee anything changing anytime soon. So that's pretty much it for the box score for the night. But let's take a look at the standings. So if we do look at the standings, at the bottom we have the bottom 5. There are now 3 teams with 10 wins, and the Jazz are one of those teams. So the Jazz are tied in the win column, and that's really the most important column because we gotta watch those wins. The Jazz are tied with Toronto and New Orleans with 10 wins, and New Orleans in the last 10 games is 5-5. So hopefully, with some luck, New Orleans starts to win some games, and they can put some distance between themselves and the Jazz in the win column and actually climb in the standings. And Portland, I think, is going to seriously start to tank and they have 13 wins. But the other one is Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte won the Jazz tonight, so they moved from 8 wins to 9 wins. So they're only one down in the win column too. And with some luck, I think Charlotte is more inclined to win games this year than the Jazz. I actually think Charlotte would like to win games. I'm not so sure that they're fully in on the tank at this point, because they do have several young guys already on that roster, and they've gotten really high draft choices in the last few years. So they may be more in the mode of trying to build rather than just simply throwing the towel in and trying to lose as many games as they can. While Washington is obviously on a whole nother plane, and it's not even in the realm of possibility of that team ever turns it around this year. I mean, it's a lost cause. That team is just brutally awful. But anyway, I think we're gonna call it quits for the night, and we will see you after the next game. But please like, share, and subscribe, and everybody have a great night.